Hello. This is question number 3B of 2013 A2 question paper for computer programming CP143. Right. The question says write a C function, replace A with B. That is the name of the function, replace A with B, as is shown there on the screen. That accepts a string of unknown length as a character array and changes each A character, A in uppercase, so uppercase A character in the string to an uppercase B character, and it says the function has to find the end of the string without knowing the length of the array. Alright, let's dive into the question. So we need to go through the array. That's one thing for sure, right? How do we traverse through an array? You need a repetition statement. Okay, you need to be checking each and every element for the A character, right? And how do we do that? We need a repetition statement which will keep on doing an action which is checking each and every element up until we reach the end of the string. Okay, so what kind of repetition statement will you choose? You can use a while, you can use a for loop, you can use a do while. Whichever you choose is entirely up to you. In this case, luckily, all three of them apply. Alright. However, I will use the while loop. It is the simplest in this case. Okay. It is up to you to use to try and use a do while and also use a for statement, a for loop. That is for you to experiment. Food for thought. Okay. So using a while loop, what do we need to do? We need to go through the array, right? Now, how do we go through this array? Because we don't know where it should end. And the question here says we should not know the length of the array. Okay, there are many ways of finding the length of the array, but now let's figure out first how we are going to go about this. How are we going to go through this array? Right, and know we've reached the end, because we need to keep on doing this thing of checking the A character up until we reach the end. But now, how do we do that? One thing about character arrays, if you can recall, or if you didn't know, then now you will know. One thing about character arrays you should know is that at the end of a character array, there is always a terminating null character, which is a \0, right? So the purpose of the terminating null character is simply so that your compiler knows where to stop when reading through the array. Okay. Then this is specifically for character arrays only. Alright. Now let's proceed with that. So here we've decided to use a while loop. Okay. But then using a while loop, we know that we can't initialize inside the while loop. So we need to initialize before, right? So that it starts from the first element when the counter is 0. So let's declare a counter and initialize it to 0. I'm going to call it I. Int I is equal to 0. Now we need to check that condition, right, every time we go through the array, whether we've reached the terminating null character. So while my string is not equal to, and this is in inverted commas, in single inverted commas. Why? Because this is a character, right? So this is read as a character. That is the terminating null character. So while we have not encountered that, my apologies, this should be my string I, right? We're moving through the array, so that ith element, when I is 0, that is the first element. When I is equal to 1, that is the second element. When I is equal to 2, that is the third element, so on and so forth, right? So while the ith element is not equal to the terminating null character, then we need to keep on doing something. Okay, what is that thing that we need to do? We need to check if there is an A character, an uppercase A character in that it contained in that element, in that ith element. How do we do checks? Simple if statements, right? So if my string I is equal to that value, then we need to do something. What should we do? We want to replace that ith element, the character in that ith element, with a b. So this becomes my string, and we assign to it the value b. Right. Now let's analyze that and see. It seems like we're done at this stage. However, let's just go through it and check. You'll see that there's something missing, something very important. I is 0, right? Let's go through this loop. My string I is 0, so my string 0, we're looking at the first element, and we check if it is not equal to the terminating now character. If it isn't, then we go we evaluate this statement inside the while loop and check if my string 0 is equal to a, then we replace with that. Well, whatever the condition may be, whether there is an a or there isn't an a, then after we're done with the last statement, we'll go out of the while and check the condition again. But now I is still 0, so we're keeping on checking I is equal to 0, so it's going to keep on checking the first element, which is definitely wrong. We have a problem there. This is going to give us an infinite loop. We want to go through all the array elements, right? So we need to increment the counter I++. So in that case, it will go through the first element, the array, the first element first, and then increment I at the end, and then now I is equal to 1. Check for the terminating null character. If it isn't there, then go through again and keep on evaluating. Now you will realize something else as well, that after my if statement, I didn't put a braces. I didn't put this statement inside braces, and the reason for that is because there's only one statement. If there's only one statement under an if or a while or a for loop, then or any control statement, when there is a one statement underneath it, then you don't need to include the braces. It is however always safe to always include them. It's just a safe practice, especially if you're not sure. But I just want to demonstrate that you can leave them out as long as you have one statement. The moment you have more than one statement, then you need to put the braces on, right? So that is what we have, and we are done there. Now let's just test this function out, right? I'm going to write a main hash include standard input output header file, right? This header file will simply contain the function prototypes, so that your compiler knows beforehand that, hey, you need to expect these functions inside. Then the compiler will know and not give you any warnings or errors, right? So that's why we always need to include our function prototypes, right? So if you don't include standard input output header file, then you can in code runner you won't be able to use printf and scanf functions, because their prototypes are defined in the standard input output header file. Okay, they are also there in the standard library header file. Yep. Or if you're using one of the old systems, they're also there in the console input output header file, right? Now that we've established this issue of header files, that means that we also have to include our function prototype at the top there, right? So let's do that. I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Alright, now there's our function prototype. Now let's start int main. I always like to start with my return 0 statement at the end, simply because I always forget it. In this case, it wouldn't have made a single difference at all. Now let's declare a character array char my name, and immediately let us initialize it. I'm going to put right, like that. So I expect this a, the first a, to be converted to B, and the last A to be converted to B, but the small letter a it won't be, for the reasons that I explained before, right? They are different in C. They have different ASCII values. Okay, now let's invoke our function call, right? We call the function and send to it the array, my name. My apologies there, I forgot to put the brackets, right? Okay, now it's an array. Previously it was just a single variable. It was gonna give me errors when compiling. And then now we can say my name. We've sent that, right? Now let's printf and see what we'll get as output. Let's print out that string and my name. So in line number 12, which is this line, it gets altered and all the A's are converted to B's. So let's see if it will work as expected. Let's save that and build it. Alright, and let's run that and see. There, you see. So the A was converted to B, the lowercase a was not converted, and the last uppercase a as well was converted to B. I hope this was helpful. Enjoy the rest of the day and your studying.